Hey, this is Jersey. You're listening to the Garden State.
You are listening to the Garden State, the only Jersey podcast that gives you all the news you need to hear this week. My name is Josh Sobo.
I'm Jordan Morris.
And I'm Jimmy Parks.
And fellas, it is good to be back.
Yeah, it was weird doing it without you.
That's only like the second time I haven't been here for a podcast last week.
Yeah, it was really weird.
I was here the day after, or no, the night my wife went into labor with my daughter, and then the next week. I didn't even take off a week for that.
Yeah, I know.
But last week I was traveling. I was up in the Poconos.
And then what was the other one that only me and Chomik did? And Anthony but have been here? I forget. It was a few months back.
That was when my family everyone was sick in my house. We were up all night. I was like, guys,
I can't do this.
Yeah. Because we record at like early in the morning.
5 a.m.
Yeah, we're here at 4:30, Jocko Willing style. But guys, so good to be back. News this week is definitely interesting, and there's a lot to get into. Did you guys talk? Well, I heard you talk actually. I listened to some of your episode last week just to critique you guys.
Okay.
But you did talk about PNC, and it was really great. I know this is old news. It was really great to go to a concert with you guys.
It was awesome.
PNC Bank Arena.
Art Center.
What's the name of it?
The PNC Bank Art Center. You call yourself from Central Jersey. Unreal.
I like the PNC Arena better.
I think the PNC Arena probably does exist somewhere.
Does it?
What I want to know with these stadiums...
It does, in North Carolina, actually.
See, that's what I was thinking about. You know why I thought
in
that?
Raleigh?
Yes.
You know why I thought that? My friend invited me to go see George Strait at the PNC Arena.
Oh, and you were
Chris,
like, of course, I will go
he was
right
like,
down the
He's
parkway.
like, if you guys drive down, the girls can hang out, and you and I can go see this. It was George Strait, Chris Stapleton, which is like, come on, that's... But, yeah, I couldn't make it down. I had a wedding. So, it happens. But I was going to say, before I went on an ADD rant, it's funny how these stadiums have like bank names on them.
Yeah.
Or just a different, like SoFi Arena.
The Freedom Mortgage Pavilion.
And I want to know how that works. Do they just pay for the rights to have their name on the building? Because
yeah, definitely.
Here's what I will say. Shout out to PNC Bank Arts Center.
Because it's been that for so long.
It's great people. It's a great place. But if you're trying to build a representation of a major financial institution, you're trying to build a place where people are going to go and think, wow, this is PNC. I'm opening an account tomorrow. I don't think PNC is the vibe. I don't think that
it's old.
It's pretty dated.
It's very old. It definitely needs an upgrade. It's a little bit more intimate, I would say, than some of the other amphitheaters in that class. So that's kind of nice. I think the shape of it's cool. The circle, the ceiling's pretty cool. Although I don't know if you noticed, like chunks of concrete are missing.
No, I didn't.
Towards like the right hand side.
That's scary.
That's super
Like,
dangerous.
that's not good.
Yeah, I also was a little bothered that they had projectors.
Yeah, everywhere else on tour they had LED walls.
Yeah, because the sun was setting, so you couldn't really see the screen.
Yeah. But you guys were like front row, so you didn't need to look at the screens.
No, but I wanted to get a photo of the Garden State flag
I got you.
on the projector screen at PNC. It was so huge on the wall. And it's okay. We love our friends at PNC. And if they wanted to sponsor, potentially a concert promo package for next summer, I'm there. I'm there.
So I was talking to Chumik about it, and at all these... I was going to say arenas now because of you. All these amphitheaters, they have like additional sponsors. So the PNC Bank Art Center, but then it was also the Cadillac Summer Concert Series. But it's just so funny because Cadillac has nothing to do with bringing these bands to PNC.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
It's just like another form of advertising.
Just a check. Get people thinking about a Cadillac.
Exactly.
They're watching Yellow Card and they go, you know what? I need a Cadillac. So there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about today. Mainly news and other information. But before I did that, I was curious because I was in the Poconos last week, which, by the way, Poconos, great little escape.
Oh, yeah.
A great little escape from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Are you guys Poconos people?
I have family in the Poconos.
I've been a couple times.
It's cool. It's I don't like it more than the Adirondacks. Like the vibe of upstate New York to PA is different. I like the upstate New York wave a little bit more.
I'm with you there.
But when I drove over the state lines, I saw the new signs go up, the Welcome to Pennsylvania signs that are going to match the license plates. Very cool. Very, very cool. The biggest win PA has had in a while.
A long time.
Another thing, and this is kind of, I was out for a week, so I didn't get to dive into all the major breaking news of the world. And one thing that I saw in the news that was kind of interesting was when the attempted assassination of the president happened a week ago. After he went to the hospital, they flew him to New Jersey. He was in Bedminster, which is kind of interesting. That Jersey, like a little Jersey tidbit. That's like a piece of history. I feel like.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
They actually flew him to Bedminster?
Well, they flew him into probably Morristown, but then he goes to Bedminster.
And then Phil Murphy and his wife, Tammy, went to visit him.
Did they?
Yeah.
I thought I heard that he was the first person to speak. Yeah, one of the first people to speak to him or go out there.
Yeah. Just
kind of interesting. New Jersey has this weird thing about it where it just makes stuff like that happens. That's kind of, that's a really historic event, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
I read that in the news, and I like when I see Jersey stuff on national news.
Yeah.
When there's just a connection. Like another story we're going to talk about today with New Jersey Transit. President Biden got involved with New Jersey Transit. Have you guys seen the news? Kind of crazy situation going on over there. And it's just like, kind of funny that the president has to step into our local affairs. NJ Transit's breaking down. I don't know. I just find it interesting. I like when those little Easter eggs happen. So that happened. A little minor thing, potential presidential assassination. I went to the Poconos, and that's really been my life this past week. Did I miss anything major New Jersey since I was gone? What did you guys? I know I listened to the episode, but
I wouldn't say anything major.
No.
Okay. Any vacation plans, Jimmy?
I'm going to California. This is my last episode for 2 weeks. 3 weeks.
Are we alone next week, or is Josh back next week?
No, I think you guys are alone next week.
Oh.
I think
Just us two?
Oh boy. We're gonna have to figure
That's
that
gonna
out.
be bad.
Viewer listenership is going down in the dumps. What are you going to California for?
Work. So I will be out there for about 16 days.
That's not vacation.
Yeah, but
Does it feel like vacation?
it depends.
Okay.
But it's kind of nice when you look out a window and you see a mountain.
Yeah.
I think my life would be exponentially better if I woke up every day, looked out my window, and I saw a mountain.
Well, I will say, I don't think we take into account how I felt this when I went to Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
How much our environment has an impact on our happiness.
Oh, yeah.
When I went to Jackson Hole and I'm driving around looking at beautiful nature and mountains, I just was happier.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I was on vacation, but I'm thinking if my house was here, I can't even imagine if my house was here. My house looks at other houses. That's New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like there is no view out my window. But if there was one, and if it was really crisp, like I think about Denver. Is it Denver that is right near the Rockies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fly into Denver.
Yeah.
Worst landing of my life, Denver.
Really?
Oh my gosh, because the drift coming off the mountains. Like
bumpy.
it was just super turbulent. But yeah, I do think that, Jimmy, like how much better would life be if we had a little mountain view?
Yeah. And then also just like the people around, I think I'd probably get along with better because I'd be like, hey guys, you want to go hiking? And then like everyone who lives near mountains, like, of course.
Yeah.
But you say to people in New Jersey, hey, want to go for a hike? And they look at you like you have 15 heads.
Yeah.
Like, well, hiking? We could go to the mall.
Yeah, that's true. I think people around here, hiking is like a weird activity.
Yeah.
That's specifically, they act like you're a weirdo.
That being said, if any of our listeners want to go hiking,
Jimmy wants to go with you.
you know how to get in contact with me.
Especially if you have an axe.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a murder joke,
Yeah.
but never mind. Jordan, what's your plans, man? Where are you going?
I don't know.
You're not taking any, short vacations with any people you know?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe with you.
Yeah, Jordan might be coming on the
Cape May?
the family vacation.
No way.
He invited me.
Wow.
I got a personal invite, handwritten note.
That's huge.
Yeah, Cape May's coming. Jordan's going to be, I'll be seeing Jordan in Cape May. And It's going to be a good week, man. I'm excited. I'm so excited to be in Cape May. I'm so excited to be laying on the beach, going to the Ugly Mug, hanging out, eating at the Lobster House. I'm going to take it all in. I'm going to just get the full Cape May experience. I cannot wait.
Is part of your Cape May tradition to climb the Cape May Lighthouse?
Usually I do it every year.
Really?
Yeah, and usually Shelby doesn't want to do it. Well, actually, she has done it with me, but usually I forget to bring cash as well. So I want to do it, and then I show up and I can't do it.
It's like $3 or something like that.
It's cheap, but I never have cash. You know, it's a cashless society now, guys.
No.
I bring my Bitcoin, and they just don't accept it. Well, maybe they will get there, though, the Cape May Lighthouse.
They don't accept cards, but they'll accept
They're
Bitcoin.
like, do you have Bitcoin? I could see that being like 60 years from now. They'll be there. You know, there is something really cool about the Cape May Lighthouse. It just feels like it would be a lovely place to work. You sit at that little desk at the bottom of it, and you're like,
work sounds a little miserable.
Does it?
Yeah, to sit at a little desk at the bottom of a lighthouse all day. Yeah, not on my
Not
top
all
10
day.
list.
I mean, they're like usually retired, and their hours are like 12 to 3. It's like a 3-hour thing.
Talk to people.
You go, this lighthouse was built in 1832 for John Wilkes something.
John Wilkes Booth?
Everybody was John Wilkes something back in the day, especially, the John Wilkes Booth. But I think it's really funny when these old heads get really into lighthouses and stuff.
Oh yeah,
They have all the information. But yeah, I'll be going to Cape May with the crew, and I'm excited.
Did you know that the Cape May Lighthouse that's there today is actually the third lighthouse that was built on that site?
I'm sure it was told to me when I was on the tour, but I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, this present one was built in 1859.
Well, the old ones probably stunk then.
They
Definitely.
didn't last very long.
Anything built before 1859 was probably like a bunch of plywood and a candle at the top. Something like that. I wouldn't mind living in a lighthouse.
I know somebody who does live in a lighthouse.
Really?
Yep.
Where?
Twin Lights
Twin Lights.
in New Jersey, Navesink Highlands.
They live in it?
They live in it. It is
Are we blowing their spot right now?
no,
Why do they live there?
because they're like the caretaker of it.
You've met this person?
I know this person extremely well.
This is the one that's up on the hill over Sandy Hook?
Yep, that's the one.
Okay, Jimmy, why do you hold this information in and not let us go film a video there?
I mean, I don't know if
That's like a Vice mini doc, hanging out with a lighthouse keeper
Yeah.
in New Jersey.
yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this.
I mean,
Does-
that being said, right? Lighthouses serve no purpose anymore, really.
Does he or she walk around with an oil lantern held up like this
I
at
think
all
so.
times?
Most likely.
Oh, this lady's waving to me. I wasn't waving to her. I was, for the listeners, I was doing the motion of like in the old movies where someone holds up a lantern like with one hand, and this lady just stopped at our window and started. I just thought I was waving to her. That's awesome. Does she walk around with a lantern all day?
At all times.
And does she say, "Who goes there?"
Yep.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it actually looks like? That looks massive.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You should go, Jordan.
Should I?
Yeah.
If I just pull up and say I know Jimmy Parks?
It's a great date spot.
What would you
you're
guys do if you fell in
interested.
love with a girl who is a lighthouse keeper and you're like, I'm just not into living in a lighthouse? This girl like meets a guy and she's like, so when can I come by and see where you live and everything? And she's like, well, here's the deal.
I always say that she lives in a castle on a hill.
It looks like a
Because-
castle.
Yeah, it's essentially a castle on a hill.
It's pretty cool. So, okay, let's get into some cool information about New Jersey, because that's what we're here for, really.
Cool information.
And before we do the news this week, I actually was having a conversation with someone yesterday about a New Jersey story that's very timely for the summertime.
Okay.
And they were like, do you do historic stories on your podcast? And I said, sometimes we do, but not always. And they said, have you ever talked about the Jersey Shore attacks of 1916? And Jimmy, you've heard of these, right?
Yeah.
Jordan,
That's
have
what,
you
I have,
heard?
yeah.
that's what they base Jaws off of, right?
Yeah. So we started talking, and I'm like, I vaguely have heard about this, but I didn't fully know that the movie Jaws is based on a summer of carnage where a great white ran completely wild at the Jersey Shore,
Yeah.
starting in Beach Haven, making his way up to Matawan, ripping people apart along the way.
Matawan's not far from here.
Matawan, not far at all. Kind of surprising a great white would be there. But yeah, so the Jersey Shore attacks of 1916 were a series of shark attacks along the coast of New Jersey in the United States between July 1st and July 12th. So we just passed we're almost at 110-year anniversary of this. But in these incidents, 4 people were killed and 1 was critically injured. There's this great white that was just going along, ripping people apart. And I mean, should I go through what do you think? Should I go through the intimate details of each attack, or should I just give you the 1,000-foot view and why it's relevant to us today?
Let's do that.
So the shark is obviously, I mean, like, what more information do you need? The shark's going along.
Wait, was it just one shark though for all the attacks?
He got the taste of human blood and just went wild.
That's,
Is that what it is? Like,
that's the theory, because they caught a shark and they ripped it open. They said it had 15 pounds of human flesh in its stomach.
what the heck?
It's a lot.
So this shark got a taste for blood. Now, there's a lot of theories around this, but the reason I wanted to bring it up is this story was the inspiration, as Jimmy said, for the movie Jaws, which is great because Jaws is a great movie, but it's I just think it's cool that New Jersey has a little part in history. Jaws being the first summer blockbuster, if you guys didn't know. Did you know that?
It was the first.
Yeah, Jaws is known as the first summer blockbuster movie ever. And it was so good, according to a friend of mine, that summer at the beach, he said when he was there, bless you,
Thank you.
nobody wanted to go in the water. He said Jaws is the greatest horror movie ever made because it made people afraid of the ocean.
Yeah, because it's like it seems realistic.
It does. I mean, and we do still see, like, it's just realistic enough where you turn on the news and you see a shark attack and you're like, oh
Yeah.
man, that's scary.
I feel like every time I go in the ocean, like it's kind of in the back of your head, like what if?
Would you mind getting like a little nibble from a shark, like a little bite, like a piece of your calf?
Just for the story.
Yeah, I mean,
Just for a cool story
I think
about,
it'd
like-
be like kind of epic, but also, maybe PTSD inducing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would never go in the ocean again. I feel like that would kind of ruin
Yeah, it ruined the vibe.
the beach for me.
I don't like when I feel anything in the ocean, to be honest with you.
When I step on like
A crab?
when I step on a shell, well, you never know if it's a crab. I never know. I tell myself it's not a crab.
I've gotten a pinch before.
Oh, that would be enough to make me lose my mind. You've gotten pinched?
Yeah.
Crabs are weird little creatures.
They are.
Did you guys see the video the other day of the whale flipping the boat?
Yeah. That was
Jumped
nuts.
right on top of the boat.
That was crazy.
That was a big whale.
It just landed on the guy's boat. Like,
He had no... That's just like dumb luck, right? Like...
I don't think whales are like that. I don't think they're trying to hurt him. But maybe
No.
that whale got a little aggressive, or maybe he just wasn't thinking.
I think he just was like, oh, it's time for me to flop out of the water.
He just landed on the guy's boat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just saw that. That's not a news story, but I saw the great white story, and I thought it was really interesting. That of course New Jersey once again has a piece of history, and Jaws is shot on a fake island called Amity Island, which should have been based at the Jersey Shore, but they did it. I think it's supposed to be New York or Martha's Vineyard or something, Cape Cod, or maybe Long Island. I don't know. All right, so should we get into the news?
Yeah, I'm really
Yes.
excited for a few of these stories this week,
Okay.
especially the first one.
I'm excited for it too. This first one's great. I think we're going to get both sides in response to this, but I don't care. I'm going to say what I really think because it's just too good to be true. A New Jersey man was arrested this week after ripping a head off a seagull when it tried to steal his daughter's fries.
Totally reasonable response.
Listen, I hate to be the guy to say it because I know there's going to be some people in our Instagram comments saying, this is cruel, you're cruel to the animals. And look, nobody should rip a head off any animal. But I would be lying if I told you I hadn't been at the beach before and wanted to rip the head off a seagull. Have you ever been there?
Yes.
There was one time I was sitting on the beach with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It was so good, I was bragging to my dad, and I lifted it up like this. I said, "This is the best peanut butter sandwich I've ever had in my life." And in that exact moment, a seagull ripped it out of my hand. And now every time I go to the beach, my dad looks at me and goes, "This is the best sandwich ever." He goes, "Remember that? Remember that?" I'm like,
Well, yeah, I remember.
yeah, he brings it up every time. And I was so angry. When you're at the beach and you're swimming all day and you sit down to have that sandwich that you packed,
Yeah.
and it was a nice PB&J, like smooth peanut butter, strawberry jam, great bread. I was so excited to dive into it. And the seagull took it.
And something about being at the beach just makes it like extra good for some reason. When you bring
Yeah.
a sandwich.
Yeah. And the whole situation that happened was, I was really angry, but in hindsight, it was so comedic because I was bragging about how good, this is the best peanut butter sandwich ever. And it was just poetic. The seagull took it and ran away.
Well, the seagull also thought it was the best peanut butter sandwich.
Well, he
ever.
agreed. Yeah, I guess I was proven right. So this happened down the shore, of course. A man, he lost his cool, a 29-year-old man. It says a New Jersey man tore the head off a seagull after it tried to steal French fries from his daughter, then fought with the cops who tried to arrest him for animal cruelty. Listen.
From this story, I learned that seagulls are actually like super protected.
Yeah, it makes sense that we'd protect seagulls in New Jersey.
Like,
Maybe if we cared as much about our citizens as we do about the seagulls, things would be a little bit better in this state. What do you think, Jimmy?
I'm just shocked because are these beach towns like installing devices to like scare away the seagulls from the boardwalks?
I
And,
thought
like,
the same, but this guy Franklin Ziegler, 29 of Cape May, was at Surfside Pier in Morey's Piers and beachfront water parks in Wildwood Boardwalk on July 6th when a mooching seagull tried to make off with the fries. In a fit of rage, Ziegler attacked the unfortunate bird and ripped its head off its body, according to Jersey 115. The avian assassin then asked boardwalk workers for a trash bag so he could dispose of the gull's remains. There was his fatal mistake.
Yeah.
You should have never done that.
Just throw it on the beach.
Dig a little hole and bury it and move on with life. He still had it in his hands, by the way, as he's doing this. This is where it gets like borderline. Is this guy a murderer or is he just like an angry dad?
I would imagine there's blood everywhere at this point, right?
Blood
Like,
all over his hands, and he's going, "Hey, does anyone have a bag? Like, what are you doing?" So the North Wildwood cop showed up, and the gentleman that ripped the head off a seagull, got irate and uncooperative with officers on an unrelated investigation. The station said.
What's the unrelated investigation?
Did he do something else?
Wait, what happened?
It gives no context of.
So something else happened.
I guess.
He got a speeding ticket in Wildwood. He starts flipping out the cops. Oh my gosh, that is the most unintentionally funny sentence. So they weren't even arguing about the seagull. It was an unrelated investigation. Or were the officers there
on an unrelated investigation?
No, it says he got irate and uncooperative with officers on an unrelated investigation. Oh, yeah, so they must have been there for, okay, that makes sense. I didn't read it that way last night.
Yeah.
They must have been there working on another case.
And then the seagull murder happens.
I thought he got mad at them about like, oh, you gave me a parking ticket. Okay.
And then they see the seagull in his hands.
And then they were like, well, what are you doing with that seagull? Okay. Great. Got it. Okay.
What's all that blood on you?
Yeah. So authorities arrested him and charged him with disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. He was also hit with a third-degree animal cruelty charge on July 18th, according to reports. So the moral of the story with this one is you don't want to rip the head off a seagull. I think a BB gun is the route. A very small BB gun that nobody's going to see. You just take little shots. I don't know.
Imagine seeing that in person though, like him just grabbing the bird out
I
of
would
it.
freak out. I think I'd be like, whoa, that was crazy.
But like, why rip its head off? Like, I can understand like just if he crushed it or something, but to actually go through like and just tear its head off. Like, how angry did he have to be for stealing fries to do that?
Yeah, I would say pretty angry.
Well, come on. He's 29. His daughter's got to be pretty young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like tomorrow, you're at the beach with June. A seagull starts like freaking out over her fries and like getting all in her face. What do you do?
I would swat it. I would literally smack it, like spank it.
Yeah.
Until it flew away.
Spank it.
Give it one good swat and let it fly away. No, I mean, they're annoying. What's the most impressive part of this story is the fact that he was able to catch it. Seagulls are notoriously hard to grab onto. I've never been able to get one. I always chase them since I was a kid.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
come to get my stuff and I just sprint after them to see if I can dive and get one.
Well,
But
I think the key is the French fry, right? The fry was
Yeah,
so
stayed
good.
around for that.
Yeah.
the key was in the fry. You're right, Jimmy.
Something similar happened in 2017 where a Philadelphia firefighter pleaded guilty after he killed a seagull at the Jersey Shore. And he ended up not getting any jail time and only had to pay a $250 fine.
That's fair. I think a seagull's worth $125, not even $250.
Yeah, yeah.
$250, that's okay, that's fair. But like, I think if you're gonna put a price tag on a seagull for killing one, it should be the cost of, I don't know, the cost of like a cheap pair of headphones, like not even AirPods, $110.
Imagine going to jail over that, though.
Yeah, what are you in for?
You should have seen the guy ripped his head off. They're like, that guy killed a seagull. I don't know what he's talking about. Oh man, murdering a seagull is the funniest animal to kill, though. Let's be honest. Like, there's a lot of animals where if someone ripped the head off of like a rabbit, well, rabbits. I say that because I saw a baby rabbit last night. It was pretty cute. If someone ripped the head off a dog, I'd be like, okay, jail for life.
Yeah.
They're a serial killer. Like, you got to be careful. Seagulls are just so annoying, though. They're just so annoying.
Like a Canadian goose.
Same
It's
thing.
another one.
But people are very emotional about the geese.
Really?
When we talked about the
about
geese
the-
gassings,
yeah.
people were very upset in our comments. You know, there's did you guys see the video talking about pigeons and how they're not native to New York?
No.
I've heard that before.
It was going around the internet how basically we brought pigeons to New York. We used them for tasks like
Carry
carrying
pigeons. Yeah.
mail carrying pigeons. And they're super intelligent, so they were a great function of society until we like invented the post office.
And we just like abandoned them.
We just got rid of them, and now they litter the streets of New York, and people think they're native, but it's actually kind of, the documentary was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of feel bad for pigeons. We used them until we didn't need them anymore, and we just left them, and now they're
Yeah.
like,
Surviving on their own, just eating garbage.
I forget who called them rats with wings, but that's the way we look at them.
Yeah.
So seagulls, much the same. You know, I could do without seagulls. I don't know what good they serve the ecosystem.
I don't know. Everything has a purpose.
I will say, I love
Except for
the
mosquitoes.
sound they make. It makes you feel like you're at the beach.
Yeah,
when you
that's
hear
true. That is
sound.
true.
Yeah. The sound and the smell of the salt water
Yes.
put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay. So what if we just put speakers in?
Just like pumping in
We
fake,
could do that.
fake seagull noise.
What do you guys think, though, to the listeners? If, you know, was the punishment worth the crime? Stole a fry. Did it deserve to be decapitated? Or is this really wrong? Should this man do serious jail time?
He seems pretty respectful, though, that he was looking to
Dispose
give it
of
like a proper
properly.
funeral or something. He wasn't just going to leave it there.
He probably wouldn't have gotten arrested if he like built a little raft and like sent it off into the ocean, lit it on fire, a little Viking funeral.
Well, he
I
might.
th-
He might.
I think he should have just buried it. I would have just dug a hole and buried it and rinsed my hands off in the ocean. And,
It sounds like he was on the pier, though.
oh,
So like he was actually on the boardwalk, and
you're right.
so he's
That's
probably
true.
just walking around the boardwalk with a decapitated bird in his hands. He's like,
Throw
"What do
it
I
in-
do with this?"
Throw it in a trash can real quick.
Yeah. Why did you get what?
Oh my gosh, this not a great crime, not a great criminal right here.
I've seen better.
So,
Probably didn't even realize it was a crime.
No, definitely not.
'Cause
I didn't
otherwise-
know until
Yeah.
yesterday.
okay, but like, we're being funny, but imagine ripping a head off a seagull. Like, let's be graphic for a second. There's noises to that.
Oh, yeah.
There's blood.
Shooting everywhere.
It's pretty gross.
He's probably getting bit and stuff at the.
Well, he's definitely like his adrenaline level is like through the roof, right?
That's
like,
a gross thing to do.
yeah.
It's not just like, oh yeah, man, I ripped the head off a seagull. Like, the statement is funny, but in action, it's disgusting.
Oh yeah.
And you hear all sorts of noises, pops, and you're breaking its spine. It's like gross. That's pretty gross.
Yeah.
So this guy might be a bit of a crazy person.
I mean, to get to that point, to be willing to do that so fast, like it steals one fry. You just
However, if he is listening to this, I would be interested in.
No, I'm not saying he's too crazy to come on the Garden State. I'm just saying it's a crazy response. I would love for him to call in. I want to hear the full story. If anybody knows this guy, or on our Instagram and TikTok, if you're watching this, sir, or your family's watching this, send us a DM. We'll get you on the phone. We want to talk to you about the Seagull incident and get we want to hear the full range of what happened. That'd be great. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next story here. More fun at the Jersey Shore. In Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, a fish fell from the sky and damaged one family's Tesla.
this reminds me of that story where the ice just fell out of the sky.
Stuff's falling from the sky all across New Jersey.
But this one's a fish.
Yeah, usually what happens, I think, is, and it kind of ruins the story when you explain it because everyone goes, oh, but.
Was it them like stocking ponds or whatever? And
no, I think birds
Yeah.
grab them and they fly away and they just drop them. Is that right, Jimmy?
It looks like a pretty big fish.
I was about to say, how big does a fish have to be to damage their car,
if
though?
you look at the video, it's a big fish.
It's a large fish.
That's a really big
So
fish.
how big was the bird?
We got some big birds
That's like
in
a
the state.
foot-long fish.
And it must have been pretty high when it dropped it. Can you imagine being a bird and you catch this huge fish and you're like, oh, my family's got food for a week.
Yeah.
And then you drop it.
That's a big fish. Oh, my gosh. Imagine that. If we think about the bird and the family, but imagine the fish. He's just swimming one day and he gets pulled into the sky
Yeah.
and then skydives onto a Tesla.
Dive bombs.
It's crazy. So it says a New Jersey. Oh, no, that's the first story. Sorry. It says a couple in New Jersey had their Tesla damaged by a fish that apparently fell from the sky outside their home. The car was parked in their driveway in Atlantic Highlands on Sunday when the whole incident was caught on camera. At first, Cynthia and Jeff Levine said they didn't even know anything had happened. The car started honking. It went crazy honking, which we had never heard. I guess maybe Teslas have like
They've never heard a car alarm?
a fish mode. Where she said, I didn't know how to turn it off, Cynthia said. I went out and he was in the yard somewhere. He heard the crash and everything, but ignored it. Then we saw the damage on the car. We were like, holy crap, look at this. And I said to him, it looks like fish scales and blood on the windshield. Jeff said at first,
Very gory episode.
yeah, Jeff said at first we're talking about animal abuse this week. Jeff said at first they thought somebody must have thrown a fish at their car and wondered if someone was after them, which would be the least possible outcome of the situation, that someone is after you and throwing fishes at your car.
Kind of funny, though.
Yeah, imagine that being your way of going after someone. Like, I'm going to throw a fish at their car.
Yeah, it'd be like a crazy mob hit, throw a fish at their car. So they live close to the Raritan Bay, where obviously birds
And fish.
and fish exist. And residents said it's pretty common to see birds flying around with fish in their mouth. We also have an eagle's nest in our backyard. We think it was probably the eagle. Oh, that's funny.
That makes sense. Big bird.
Yeah.
He was dropping it for the babies.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was just dropping it near his home base. So the Levines are expecting to get their Tesla back soon, and Jeff has a message for any feathered neighbor who might be listening. I lowered my deductible, so if any birds are listening, please don't drop it here because I'm covered now.
I would love to work for an insurance company just to see like the crazy claims they get.
I think this is a great insurance fraud scam. If you dent the hood of your car,
Oh, fish.
just throw a fish at it and then call the insurance company and say, listen, this is crazy. You're not going to believe this. I mean, if you were a dishonest person, that's what you do. But we're all honest here in the Garden State.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do that.
No, of course not.
Although my catalytic converter's been acting a little weird.
Got
and
stolen recently?
No, it's not working right. I can't pass inspection.
Really?
Really?
So I'm thinking I might need to park the truck somewhere.
You got it.
Near a fish? See if a fish
Near
will
a
take it?
fish. Yeah, see if a fish will fly in. All right. Guys, let's take a little pause here. We're diving through these stories a little quick. And I need to breathe. So what are your
Okay.
thoughts? Any thoughts so far, Jordan?
I mean, this seems like a more justified reason to rip a bird's head off. If I'm being honest. And they didn't. So I'm like,
I think it's worse to rip the head off a bald eagle, the symbol of our
you might-
country, than a seagull.
It'd be a lot harder as well, I think.
Yeah. Eagles are big.
it's more of a-
You see their talons?
Yeah.
yeah.
Ugh.
You get
It's not
torn
good.
up.
It's not good.
Eagle talons.
I kind of like this.
Eagle eggs.
Eagle.
This is like halftime for us. Do we have like a halftime show?
We should do a
Something
little
and stretch.
Yeah, we should do like a stand up and stretch moment for the Garden State. No, it's not halftime. We got to keep moving with the news. Guys, New Jersey news never sleeps. And some of it's just so ridiculous. And a lot is happening at the Jersey Shore, which I guess makes sense. It's summertime. People are at the shore.
Yeah.
Next story out of Beechwood, New Jersey. And, well, another interesting one. In Beechwood, New Jersey, swimming at the beach has been banned for the entire summer.
A lot of beaches in that statement.
In Beechwood, New
Beechwood.
Jersey, swimming at the beach.
Like, how can you not swim at the beach in Beechwood?
Yeah.
That's like the whole identity of that town.
Yeah, it's a borough along a central New Jersey river has closed the waters for certain activities
wait.
Yeah.
The town's called Beechwood, and it's not even
It's
on the
on a
beach.
river.
It's on a river.
There you go.
Well, that explains that.
Sums it up. Yeah, it's in central Jersey. Has closed its waters for certain activities after a series of tests indicated high levels of bacteria. The town of Beechwood announced that officials decided to close its beach to swimming for the remainder of the season after receiving poor water quality tests. Beechwood is located along Toms River in the Jersey Shore region, about 70 miles south of New York City and 55 miles east of Philadelphia. For the safety, health, and welfare of the residents and others, the mayor and council have decided to close swimming at the beach for the remainder of the 2024 season due to the Ocean County Health Department reporting of excessive bacteria levels found in the water. You may still sit and take in the lovely view of the scenery, but no one is permitted to swim. The health department did not identify the source of the fecal matter. Whoa. But the river collects runoff from urban regions. They said this is like a beautiful town. It's collecting runoff. Suburban development and agriculture lands from a wide area of the Garden State. Communities along lakes and waterways tend to see upticks in pollution after heavy rain events as debris and chemicals flow through drainage systems. No other nearby municipalities reported shutting down water activities at beaches due to high levels of pollutants. So the article doesn't say, and this is the one thing I was trying to figure out, they're saying they're closing the beach. Is this like a beach at a lake?
I think it's a beach on a river.
Because they said there's lakes and rivers. But
No, but I think lakes and rivers feed into that main river. So you have a lot of runoff.
Got it. Bacteria is a scary thing, I will say. Did you ever see the video of the kid that jumped in the pool that had been sitting for an extended period of time?
No, but I've heard so many stories about similar things. Like
Yeah,
people
like-
going in like rivers or pools like that. They get like a brain-eating amoeba or something
they
like
die.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of scary when you hear about it. But the fact that your river could get runoff from a local urban center fecal matter seems like a bit of a failure of planning, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
That is like the failure of planning. Like if we're going to plan a society, I think the number one thing you'd say you'd want is like, we got to make sure that the poop can't get into the water my kids are going to swim in.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty high priority.
It seems like that should be like the first thing on the list. Like that's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, there's this thing called combined sewer overflows.
Thank you. Jimmy's got all the facts. Let's go, Jimmy.
That, believe it or not, are still somewhat common in urban areas, where when they built these sewer systems way back in the early 1900s, they were like, yeah, if the rainwater and like the sewage like goes into the same system and there's like too much of it, we're just going to dump all the raw sewage right into the river.
Why are we not replacing all these systems?
I think we are, but it costs $1 bazillion to do it and a long time. And yeah, so I know that Camden has been doing a lot of work to replace their CSOs. And
So as a kid, I was not the brightest child. I'll say that before I say what I'm about to say. As a kid, I always had this image of like, if you went down the toilet drain, you eventually end up in the ocean. But I think movies also give us that vibe, like Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
They flush into the ocean.
Flushed away.
Yeah, you get flushed into the ocean, right? So in some ways, that is kind of accurate. You could get flushed into the ocean, Jimmy, is what you're saying.
yeah, definitely.
That's gross.
Yeah.
That's pretty disgusting.
It gets filtered along the way.
Does it?
Yeah. I forget like the exact amount, but they say like the water you drink or the water you use like has passed through with like a certain amount of people or whatever, or has been like cycled through the.
There's enough to worry about in the world,
water
but
treatment.
I'm going to give everybody one more thing to worry about. They say like the amount of psychoactive or the drugs for psychotherapy that people take, they pass through their body and then they go into the system, and our filtration system can't fully filter out a lot of these things. So we are drinking water with residual effects of psychotherapeutic drugs, I guess.
Seems like a good thing.
Maybe for our society. Also, birth control medication, like all these different things are going into the water. You know, I have a family member that works for a large water company that the name, you could probably figure out who it is, the company. But they were one of the largest in America, and they deal with water. And they're in New Jersey. And he was like, everybody always blames the water, man. The water's the easiest culprit when things go wrong. He's like, it was so funny. He was going off like everybody's always coming after the water people, but like we're filtering it out. He told me the process. It's pretty amazing. They have a whole, they have stages, but it is kind of a nasty thing to think about that there's stuff in our water.
I visited your family member's water plant once.
Really?
And your family member was working that day.
How cool is it?
It was awesome.
It's a cool job.
We ran into each other. I was going down the stairs. He was going up the stairs. And I was like, no way.
To me, it's a job where you're like, it matters. There's a lot of jobs in the world that just don't matter. Most of us are just working, doing things.
The thing is, right, everybody takes for granted, like turning on your faucet and there being clean water.
Yeah. You're right. That's why he was like, water's the easiest culprit. Everybody always blames the water. I was dying laughing. Like, it's just funny that it's a funny thing to say because to be the person controlling water is so powerful.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to like, I don't know, you work in marketing. It's like, we're going to be all right without the marketing guy. I saw somebody, I forget who said this, but some comedian was like, if things, if the apocalypse happens, nobody's going to be going like, where's the director of HR and whatever?
Yeah. Like,
we're going to be going, where's the PSE&G guy that can get the power back on? And where's the water guy that's going to get the, things flowing back? Water, it is also scary how dependent we are. And this is why I think I would eventually like to end up on a well. I think a well's a nice idea because you're just not really dependent on anybody else. You can just get your own water. I mean, our waters are, for all these towns, our water's coming from the same plants. It's coming through. And if they turn that thing off or if there's like a cyber attack, guess what?
You're done.
You're going to be thirsty.
What? I don't want to be thirsty.
Well, then you should get a well.
I'll use your well.
Okay. I'll get one and I'll hand out water. Up in the Morris County area, my father-in-law was telling me there used to be a spring on a guy's property. Well, there still is a spring on a guy's property, but it's up in maybe up near Jefferson, like that area, along Route 15. And he was such a nice guy because it was his property the spring was flowing out of, but he couldn't turn the spring off. It's flowing out of the earth. It was just like a little spout. And he would let people come up with jugs to fill their water bottles. So like if you had one of those Poland Spring 5-gallon jugs, people would show up and they'd fill one or two of them.
They do that at Stoke State Forest.
Do they?
Artesian well that's there. People like from all around Sussex County go there and fill up water. So
he said that people started to abuse it. Like there'd be people that would come with like 20 jugs and he was just like, no, that's not the point of this. Yeah. It's not for me to fix your
Your water
supply of
problem.
water.
Because from what I've been told, up in that area, people who are on well water, it's very sulfur tasting, the water. So people don't enjoy that.
I heard maybe it was the same with his, but from the way they described it to me, it sounded awesome.
Yeah.
People took advantage of it. So
Have you ever drank water like that?
Right out of the earth?
Yeah.
yes, I did. I drank glacier runoff.
Yeah.
And when I was in the Poconos last week, I saw some kid in a river in the Poconos I think he was trying to impress some girls. He's like, the water's fresh, you could drink it. And he starts drinking water out of this random river. And I'm like, that kid's about to die. He did it too quickly where I couldn't stop him. Then he stopped. But if he was going to drink again, I was going to yell at him and be like, stop drinking that water. Because that's a terrible idea.
That's so horrible.
I wonder if he got like extreme diarrhea this week or something.
Maybe.
Probably.
But he was like, it's fresh water, you can drink it. And he's like cupping his hands, drinking it. I'm like, oh my gosh. That's how you get a brain eating and die.
Exactly. Yeah.
I drank out of a waterfall in Yosemite once. My first time I was ever there, I was young, dumb, and stupid, hiking in like vans, and brought like one bottle of water on this like crazy hike. And I was obviously like so thirsty. So here's this waterfall, and I'm like, I got to drink.
Yeah. I did the same in Montana and Glacier National Park. Because I was looking at a glacier, seeing the river run down from it, and thinking, okay, it's a good chance like a goat has peed in this water, or there's like amoebas in it. But there's also a good chance it's pretty clean. There's a glacier right there, so I didn't get sick, and I was so dehydrated I had a headache.
Yeah,
and I was 10 miles into a 14-mile hike, so
I was
pretty desperate at that point.
Yeah,
I drank water I was in a cave.
I don't know if I trust cave water.
They said it's cleaner than the water we drink.
Maybe
Like
I do.
the tour guides were like, you can drink any of the water. Like,
You live in a cave?
no, I was
that
just
makes a lot of
visiting.
sense actually.
Caves freak me out.
They are really scary.
Have you heard of
but
like
they're really cool?
the dead air thing with cave?
Yeah.
That's freaky.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's air that has just been sitting for so long that what happens to it?
I don't know what happens to it, but basically it's bad air and you die.
It's just expired.
And also, you know what pops up on my Instagram and Twitter feed from time to time?
What?
That this is unrelated to everything we're talking about besides caves. You ever hear the story about the guy that was cave diving and he went a little too deep and got stuck?
Yeah. That's terrifying to
That
me.
pops up in my feed like once a week with a diagram image of how this guy got stuck.
Yeah, I've seen this.
And I have a panic attack every time I see it.
I don't understand like the thrill in that.
People are weird. I saw another video this week. I don't know why I keep seeing cave stuff. I just have extreme stuff on my feeds.
I've gotten that before. I've been in that spot.
There was a guy that was cave diving underwater in a cave, and he couldn't find the air pocket.
Yeah.
And he legit looked like he was having like a panic attack. Came up and like it was smaller than he thought. It was like maybe 2 inches of between the top of the water and the cave. So he just puts his face up so he could like get a little bit of air, but he's like having a panic attack. And I feel a biological visceral reaction to that kind of content. Like my fight or flight instinct turns on when I see that stuff. I don't know if it's I'm claustrophobic or if everybody feels that way, but
I feel like that's just like everybody's worst fear.
That's
like,
nightmare.
Oh yeah,
that's my biggest
just being
nightmare.
stuck in water like that and you can't find.
That's my biggest fear in
Any
life.
air.
Yeah, that's the way I would not like. I'd rather get eaten by a shark. I'd rather skydive and the parachute not open. I'd rather do anything other. That's at least beautiful. You're seeing the whole earth, and then it's just like a quick bounce. A cave, like the panic and fear and all right, let's move on because we're gonna lose listeners. So, a new video has released showing the moment a truck carrying chemicals exploded in a crash on Route 3.
This video is insane. Like absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, these are like it's like a Michael Bay scene from a movie. This explosion, it's so unbelievable. And this went pretty viral on our page, but I think it's good to give the context of what actually happened to people in Jersey. So it says a new video shows the moment a tractor trailer hauling chemicals exploded after crashing into a wall on a New Jersey highway as an investigation into what happens continues. All lanes on Route 3 in Clifton reopened on Tuesday after a big rig exploded in a fiery mess that left the driver dead and the roadway shut down for hours. The fire occurred just after 9 a.m. Monday in the eastbound lanes between East Valley Road and Grove Street. When police officers responded to the scene, they witnessed additional explosions, which we shared one of the videos. It says cell phone video captured the jaw-dropping blast on the roadway, with a firefighter appearing to come within just feet of a flaming barrel that was sent flying into the air. God bless firefighters.
Yeah.
God bless these first responders that show up to this stuff. I mean, a barrel of fire flies past you, and meanwhile, we're talking about like marketing jobs and stuff. That's pretty wild. The commercial truck was hit by a commuter bus and slammed into the retaining wall and exploded, according to the fire department at the scene. The truck appeared to cause significant damage to the sound wall on the side of the highway and ended up with debris to the back of a house on Normandy Road. So county prosecutors reported that the 55-year-old man from Linden, who was behind the wheel at the time of the crash, died. No other injuries were reported. The cause of the crash has not yet been determined, and no further details have been released as the investigation is ongoing. Neighbors believed more lives could have been lost had it not been for the location of the crash. So the Department of Environmental Protection confirmed some of the fuel and other liquids had reached a nearby storm drain, but said there were no concerns about any possible air contaminants. Which is, I don't think we're concerned about the air. I think it's, if it goes down a storm drain, we're more concerned about
The water.
since we just talked about storm drains. But some who live in the area are still concerned, especially after photos showed a metal drum left behind after the crash, along with flames shooting out of sewer drains.
The crazy thing,
That's crazy.
when I watched that video, right, is there's a big pine tree right on the other side that's like guard wall. And as this explosion happened, the pine tree just like goes up in flames too.
Jeez.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Let me see if I could. Oh, wow! It really knocked through that wall.
That's crazy.
That's horrible.
It's like right in someone's backyard.
Yeah.
The storm
A bunch
drain.
of houses were evacuated.
The storm drain thing is pretty concerning. Flames coming out of the sewer drains, very concerning.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, this is how the Ninja Turtles came about.
Yeah.
Harsh chemicals going down a sewer drain. Not to make
Did you ever see
that dark. Should I not have said that?
Wait,
No.
did you ever see the interview with them, the
Ninja Turtles?
the Ninja Turtles and Oprah?
No.
No, but that sounds like something that needs to be a part of this podcast. Is it worth opening?
I've never seen it myself, but I've heard about it.
All right. Yeah, I don't think that it needs to be a part of the episode.
So the part that I heard about that we didn't listen to there was like they just got like the most random people like be in those suits for the day, and like one of the kids asked the like, "What's it like to live in the sewer?" And the guy like completely blanks, and he's like, "I don't live in a sewer." I've never seen it, but I've heard about it.
So crazy situation all around. The videos out of this were unbelievable. I think the video we posted got like hundreds of thousands of views. Let's see.
I've been seeing so many angles on TikTok too. I feel
Yeah.
like
I mean,
like
thank God that they shut the road down, right? Because, you know, sometimes you see like a truck fire or something, they're still letting
Yeah.
like one or two lanes go by.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, the video on our page got 500,000 views.
Wow.
So Jersey was up. Everybody was checking this out. And unfortunately, someone lost their life in the whole incident, which
Horrible.
is a shame. But let's keep it moving on to national news that I mentioned earlier in the podcast. New Jersey Transit has avoided their engineers striking after President Biden has stepped in.
Is that how important New Jersey Transit is?
Well, I heard Penn Station is the #1 most trafficked train station in America.
That would make sense.
More people go through it than any train station.
I believe it.
And if you think about a main service way between New York and Philadelphia, people commuting to New York, people commuting to Philly, it's a pretty important train line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to think that's got to be top
It's probably
three. Top
the
three
most important.
It has, yeah, I would
At
say
least
most.
commuter train line. Because maybe you could argue
Yeah.
that there's more
I think it's
important like freight train lines, but
Yeah. That's a good point. As far as commuters go, I think it has to be the most important.
yeah.
NJ Transit probably is our most important railway in America. Well, what would be more important? Let's talk about this for a second. Chicago has a line, but Chicago's not as, I would say, you don't have the UN building and, like there's people going to New York for bigger stuff, Wall Street, all this stuff.
Yeah, no, it probably is. You're
It's
probably
got to
right.
be.
That's crazy.
Because I would say New York is the most important city.
And then probably LIRR. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's going the same place.
I would argue NJ Transit's more important than LIRR because the connection to Philly,
yeah.
but still pretty important. President Joe Biden agreed to assemble a presidential emergency board averting a strike for now of New Jersey Transit's locomotive engineers. Though the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen Union had signs printed in preparation for walking off the job Thursday, they are now preparing to bring their case to the board. We are prepared and ready to present our case, said Jim Lewis, a national vice president at the labor union. NJ Transit will not move an inch, so that's where it's at. So they're not willing to budge. They're going to war here on these wages. NJ Transit and the union have been in national mediation for 3 years, bargaining over a new contract for the engineers that expired in 2019. NJ Transit have offered the train operators pattern-based raises on par with what is offered for other unions, but the engineers have asked for increases in starting salaries. So, the starting salaries, I guess the main complaint there is that they don't see their starting salaries to be competitive with other railways. I'd imagine maybe Amtrak. I'm trying to think of what's a comparable engineer job. Where else are you going to be an engineer? We just talked about NJ Transit being a very important commuter line. So NJ Transit has made a fare-based pattern contract offer that has been resoundingly accepted and ratified by 14 of the 15 rail unions, covering 91% of our rail union employees, all but the engineers, said Jim Smith. The Presidential Emergency Board has issued a report by August 23, but the overall process will span 120 days. When that ends, a second Presidential Emergency Board can be requested for another 120 days. So what's happening here? The engineers want to make more money.
Yep.
And they're renegotiating a contract. What would happen if we didn't have engineers on NJ Transit trains? See, this is one of those unions where if they strike, it is kind of kind of
Game
wild.
over. But I feel like
Teachers strike, it's like, hey, summer break. Homeschool.
I feel like NJ Transit's constantly on strike. Right?
Yeah,
I feel over the last 5 years, there's always like threats of engineers going on strike.
Well, it says that they haven't had a contract since 2019.
Yeah, and if you think about the inflation from 2019 to 2024,
it's huge.
It's crazy how much the world has changed for everybody. I'm wondering in all this, there's so much complexity to NJ Transit, and it seems there's never solutions. And next week, hopefully, I spoke to an expert on this topic that I wanted them to join us in studio for an interview to discuss the NJ Transit disaster of the summer of 2024, because it feels like this summer has been the worst summer of NJ Transit I can remember since doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I feel for, people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but I feel for Murphy in a way because the guy ran on fixing NJ Transit. And this summer has been the worst example of just like a byproduct of your work to be like, oh, NJ Transit's in a good spot. And then it's just every week there's failure and delays and everything. And now the engineers aren't happy. And there's just not enough money, and it's just such a disaster.
I think he said it last week that he kind of jinxed it. It's like the second he said that, everything got significantly worse.
You never declare victory. Like, that's such a bad political move.
Yeah. Didn't George Bush do that? He was like, the war is over.
I think so, yeah.
It's like, I have eliminated terrorism.
It's just a bad move because anytime anything goes wrong, people are going to pull up that statement. He should have said, we are in a significantly better position, and I'm hopeful that one day we're going to be at a point where NJ Transit is the best train system in America. But to go, it's fixed is so definitive.
Like, we're good.
Because fixed is subjective. To you, fixed is one thing. To me, fixed is another.
Yeah.
To me, fixed is like, I don't want to be on a train where the windows are covered in weird dirt and there's a delay.
Yeah.
You know, like, I want it to be on time. I want it to be clean. I want to get home. I want there to be no delays, and that's just not reasonable with a train system. You know? So what happens with NJ Transit? Well, President Biden is bringing this presidential emergency board together for 120 days. We'll see what they come to on this contract. I'd imagine the engineers, there'll be some mediation and they'll get some of what they want. And, I feel for NJ Transit conductors. I think they're the people keeping the whole thing together. They're running these trains. They deal with so many crazy people on the lines. And I got a lot of respect for anybody that works NJ Transit in that conductor capacity, or even bus drivers, man. You put up with so much garbage and so many crazy people that give you a hard time or don't want to give their ticket or whatever. So we'll definitely keep you guys updated over this 120-day period. And like I said, we plan to have somebody on hopefully next week where we can dive deeper into it and learn more about why is NJ Transit a basket case right now? Why is everything falling apart? Yeah. We can get more information. All right, let's move on to one more story. This is a sad one. Also, in some ways, a way to memorialize somebody's life. So in Mays Landing, New Jersey, a heroic man drowned while saving the lives of 2 boys who were also drowning.
That's horrible.
Very, very sad. A man has died after authorities say he rescued 2 boys from drowning in a New Jersey river on Wednesday afternoon. Officials say 2 boys, 8 and 12, went swimming in a prohibited spot of the river that runs through Weymouth Furnace in Hamilton Township. It's believed Pablo Hernandez Cruz, 49, saw the boys struggling to swim and entered the river to rescue them. Authorities say he managed to push the children to shore and then submerged under the water until he was pulled out by first responders and witnesses. Cruz, a Mays Landing resident, was pronounced dead after being rushed to a nearby hospital. The 12-year-old was treated and released at the local hospital, according to authorities, and the 8-year-old was taken to the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. So Atlantic County Executive Dennis Levinson extended his condolences to the Cruz family and urged park visitors to heed the warnings about swimming in the river. The water is deep and can be dangerous for swimmers, which is why we prohibit swimming. We don't want any family to have to deal with this type of tragedy. So Jimmy, explain this to me, because maybe you'll know. What's so dangerous besides the water being deep?
I don't know.
Is it like there's currents? Like he's just saying it's
probably
deep. But
I've driven by this area, but I don't know. My assumption would be in saving these kids who were drowning, maybe didn't know how to swim very well,
or had a heart attack, or
he just like exerted himself too much and maybe took in too much water. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. Horrible situation. We'll memorialize him as a hero.
Yes.
That one article says he was about to become a grandfather, which makes this
horrible.
even more sad. But he gave his life and saved 2 lives.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully these boys have learned a lesson. It's so horrible because that's a lesson that you never forget.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of trauma there for the 12-year for both of them.
Yeah.
Knowing that a man died trying to save them.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why with our waterways, I mean, like, people got to learn to swim. If you're going to be in any natural body of water, even the ocean, like, right? You see people that go way out in the ocean. Most people are not good swimmers. Most people are not in any good shape.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're trying to, pull off these crazy feats of like swimming in a river. You're like, that's a natural body of water that has no respect for your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could sweep you under and it doesn't care. So, lesson learned, maybe if there's a kid watching this at home, stay out of these bodies of water. Don't be a hero. And, I just want to give a shout out to the family of Mr. Cruz, who is a hero and will be remembered as a hero. And that is how we will end our episode for the week. All right. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Just that the man was a hero and very sad for his family.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, that'll end this week of the Garden State podcast. Hey, we appreciate all our listeners. We appreciate New Jersey. And I want to say one quick final thing. I said before Chumlick went away, something's going to change. I feel things are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already getting some sorts of clarity on what that is. I think this podcast is about to get juiced. We are going to look a lot different going into the fall. And I'm very excited about it. I'm excited for it to come.
A solo podcast, just me.
Just Jordan.
Just Jordan.
Called New Jordan,
New Jordan.
the Jordan State podcast. No, but I think there's exciting stuff on the horizon. So stay tuned. Be ready for some really cool stuff. Maybe some really interesting interviews and other stuff. The other thought I had when I was walking in today was we're already ending July.
Oh, it's crazy.
We are going to be getting our Christmas tree up in here before we know it. I know that's a crazy thought. No, we're going to November is not far away.
No, not
August,
at all.
September, October, November. We're like 3 months from getting ready to get our tree up.
Yeah,
So I want to figure out, are we going back up to a Christmas tree farm this year?
100%.
We got to be planning ahead. See, the listeners are like, that's very premature, but we always need to be like 4 months ahead with what we're planning.
Yeah.
Here. If we're going to do a 4th of July event, we got to talk about it in February.
Yeah.
Polar plunge, we're talking about it
Now.
at Christmas.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun stuff on the horizon. I also was talking to somebody about an event we want to host end of August at the beach. A local business owner reached out to me, and we've been kind of workshopping an idea. I haven't even told you guys about this, I don't think. But I'm thinking through an idea for an event in August. So we'll talk about it. But otherwise, hey, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you next Friday. God bless.
See ya.
Later.
You're listening to the Garden State. The Dirty Jers.